continue to feel the squeeze, with Manhattan rents hitting a record high for the 6th month in a row.
Several doctors across the GTA are sounding the alarm bells about crowding and wait times at emergency departments in Ontario. One doctor says the situation is now at crisis levels.
Just got a $950 weekly rent notice in Auckland. I give up. Leaving NZ after 20 years, it's not the country I grew up in. Once praised as a paradise at the edge of the world, New Zealand is now facing an exodus. Once a dream, it's becoming a nightmare. For years, New Zealand symbolized peace, prosperity, and balance. It was the escape plan for those tired of global chaos. But beneath its calm beauty, cracks are widening. In 2025, the very country that once invited the world's dreamers is now watching its own citizens pack up and leave. Let's talk about money, because that's where the nightmare begins. A cup of coffee in Wellington, $7. A two-bedroom apartment in Auckland, over $3,000 a month on average.
New figures out today show just under 30,000 New Zealanders left for Australia last year.
The median home price has climbed so high that even middle-income families can no longer compete. Experts say New Zealand now ranks among the least affordable housing markets on Earth.
To Westpac. The latest updates on New Zealand's housing market have pointed to some ongoing softness.
Taxes and inflation. And for those who rent, it's no better. Renters are trapped in tiny flats with sky-high bills and little hope of saving a cent. New Zealand's tax system hits harder than many realize. There's no capital gains tax, sure, but income taxes are steep, and GST adds 15% to almost everything you buy. With wages struggling to keep up with inflation, every grocery trip feels like a test of endurance. The average Kiwi earns around $70,000 NZD a year, but that doesn't go far when a carton of eggs costs $12 and fuel prices hover near record highs. The healthcare meltdown. Once a point of pride, New Zealand's public health system is now crumbling under pressure. Waiting times for specialist appointments can stretch for months. Some patients wait up to a year for non-urgent surgery. Doctors and nurses are leaving, headed to Australia where they can earn up to 30% more.
New Zealand has taken aim at the health reforms he was in charge of, calling them half-baked.
He says the health system is in crisis.
That's triggered a staffing crisis so severe that some clinics now close on weekends. For ordinary citizens, that means living with pain, anxiety, and uncertainty, wondering if help will ever arrive.
Schools could be more than 1,200 teachers short this year, with demand outstripping supply. And it's not just here. Data show it's a global issue. But in New Zealand, the ministry is projecting it's 1,250 teachers short of what's needed.
The education system was once a model for the world. Now teachers strike for better pay, while students leave for Australia, Canada, or the UK. International students, a major source of revenue, are also turning away, citing high living costs and visa delays. Even universities like Auckland and Otago are facing budget cuts, jeopardizing New Zealand's global academic standing. Transport and infrastructure. And then there's infrastructure, the silent collapse few talk about. Roads are crumbling, public transport is overcrowded, and major projects stall due to funding shortages. In Auckland, commuters spend over 90 minutes a day in traffic.
6 hours, no joke.
6 hours?
Just to get somewhere.
Compare that to Tokyo or Singapore, cities with 5 times the population but better flow. This constant gridlock costs the economy billions in lost productivity, and it's testing the patience of an entire nation.
The biggest ever inquiry into mental health calls for a total overhaul and rethink of how the country deals with a growing problem. The numbers are grim. There are 20,000 attempted suicides a year, and we have one of the worst youth suicide rates in the developed world.
Mental health crisis. Beneath the surface of this economic storm is a quiet mental health disaster. Rates of depression and anxiety have soared post-pandemic. Suicide rates remain among the highest in the developed world. Mental health services are underfunded and overloaded. Some clinics turn people away because they simply can't cope with the numbers. When a country can't protect the mental well-being of its people, something fundamental is broken.
New figures out today show just under 30,000 New Zealanders left for Australia last year.
Immigration backlash and social tensions. For years, New Zealand welcomed immigrants from every corner of the world. They built businesses, staffed hospitals, and kept the economy alive. But now the mood has changed. Immigration policies are tightening again, and locals feel foreigners are driving up prices and housing demand. It's creating a new divide, one that's turning neighbors into competitors.
Well, new migration data shows a record number of people are leaving New Zealand, and most are choosing to move to Australia.
The Great Exodus. People are leaving in droves. New Zealand is losing its people. Not just tourists or temporary residents, but lifelong Kiwis. In 2024 alone, more than 60,000 New Zealanders left for Australia, the largest wave of migration in decades. Most of them young, skilled, and frustrated. Ask them why, and the answers are hauntingly consistent. I can't afford rent. The pay is better in Australia. There's no future for my kids here. What was once the dreamland of the Pacific is now becoming a departure lounge. The brain drain. Doctors, engineers, teachers. The country's best and brightest are packing up and heading overseas. Economists call it a brain drain, but locals are calling it something darker, the slow death of opportunity. New Zealand's small economy depends on skilled workers, and when they leave, the entire system begins to collapse. Companies struggle to fill positions, productivity dips, and the tax base shrinks, fueling a vicious cycle.
House prices have plummeted across the ditch. Home values in New Zealand reached an all-time high during the pandemic.
The housing nightmare. The government promised affordable housing. They built almost none. For every new development that opens, demand outpaces supply by thousands. Meanwhile, foreign investors continue buying properties, leaving locals priced out of their own homeland. In many suburbs, one-bedroom apartments now rent for more than a family home did a decade ago. Even dual-income households are struggling to keep a roof over their heads. Government silence and political tensions. The government insists the situation is under control, but the streets tell another story. Politicians live in million-dollar homes while people sleep in cars. Budget after budget. Promises are made: affordable housing, health reform, mental health funding. Yet every year the problems grow worse. Analysts say part of the issue lies in bureaucracy. Too many departments, not enough accountability. Others point fingers at New Zealand's over-reliance on immigration and tourism. Industries shattered during the pandemic never fully recovered. The economic storm narrated: inflation remains stubbornly high, interest rates have soared, and the Kiwi dollar continues to weaken. Small businesses are closing at record rates. The hospitality industry, once a backbone of Kiwi culture, is collapsing under costs. Even tech startups, once hailed as the future of the New Zealand economy, are relocating to Australia or Singapore for better funding and infrastructure. The global image versus the reality. Around the world, New Zealand still appears as the utopian dream, a land of mountains, lakes, and friendly faces. But ask those living there, and a darker truth emerges. Behind the stunning postcard images is a country struggling to keep its people afloat. It's not that New Zealanders stop loving their country, it's that the system stopped loving them back. Social divide and crime rise. With poverty rising and the middle class shrinking, crime is becoming more visible and more violent. Retailers report a surge in thefts. Youth gangs are increasing, and car thefts have hit record levels. Communities once known for trust and safety now live behind locked doors and alarm systems. Even small towns, once the pride of Kiwi simplicity, are seeing social unrest that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. The environmental strain. Climate change is hitting New Zealand harder than expected. Cyclones, floods, and rising sea levels have battered infrastructure and farmland. The cost of rebuilding grows higher every year, yet the government's climate resilience plan remains underfunded. Nature may have blessed New Zealand, but now it's demanding repayment, and the country isn't ready. The breaking point. Every nation has a breaking point, and New Zealand may be closer to it than anyone dares admit. People who once bragged about living in the best country in the world now whisper that they're planning to leave. The dream has soured. When citizens can no longer afford to live in the land they built, when hope becomes a luxury, the question isn't, why are people leaving? It's who will stay. New Zealand isn't dead, but it's changing, and not for the better. It's still a country of breathtaking beauty and resilient people. But paradise has a price, and that price has become unbearable. As the world watches, one thing becomes clear. Living in New Zealand has become impossible, not because it's unlivable, but because it's unattainable. Subscribe for more global issues and analysis.